Hey guys, Dixie here. Welcome back to another video. Today is rare and collectible PS4 games, and we are on episode number 10. Thanks everyone who's watched the series so far. It's getting heaps of views, so I'm going to keep making these videos. You guys are getting me to keep collecting for the PS4, which is great. I'm almost at 1,000 games for it, and heaps of awesome suggestions from you guys. Every suggestion I write down, so if you think you've seen a game that might be rare or collectible that I haven't talked about, please tell me in the comments, guys. I'll do my best to pick it up and you might see it in one of these videos. So I've got another 20 games today from A to Z, A to Y I think it is. Yeah, so let's get started. Got another Atelier game, and this one is Atelier Firis, The Alchemist and the Mysterious Journey. Found this one very hard to find. eBay prices are $80 north. I ended up getting it through my buddy Chris via a trade. So thanks to Chris for that one. Yeah, if you see this one in the wild, guys, definitely grab it. Like all Atelier games, they tend to be worth more than their retail price later on down the line. This one especially. And moving on to the next one, guys. Here we have an NIS America game, and that is Birthday's the Beginning. It's not necessarily a JRPG like most of their other titles, but nevertheless, I found this one very hard to find. I actually got it in the wild, surprisingly enough. I hadn't seen one for about 18 months, and then one popped up. I think it was about $28. So I'm pretty happy with that price. It includes a world guide as well, so keep your eye out for that. But if you see this one around the $30 mark or less, I'd definitely be picking it up, guys. Like all NIS America games, I expect this one to become even harder to find than it is today down the line. And that is Birthday's the Beginning. In our last episode, we talked about a game called Blue Reflection. Just recently it had a sequel, and that is Blue Reflection Second Light. Already, this game's pretty hard to find. I actually spent about a month trying to find a brand new copy. I ended up getting one off Play Asia for the PAL version. So I'd definitely be trying to get this sooner rather than later, guys, if you're a JRPG fan. I expect it to become even harder to find. You guys all know the first one's going for over $200 right now. I would expect this second one to become quite collectible. And that is Blue Reflection Second Light. Here we have CrisTales. Now when this first came out, I didn't think it would be quite collectible. It was also released on the PS5. However, almost a year down the line, I find it pretty hard to find for the PS4, and I see PS5 copies pretty regularly. Now with the PS3 and 4, in the end of the PS3's life cycle, when there were games released for both systems, today those PS3 titles are quite hard to find. Odin Spear, for example, Guilty Gear, Revelation. So I expect this to be one of those type of titles. If you can get it for around the $30 mark today, guys, I'd definitely be grabbing it. That's CrisTales. But I'd expect this one in 5 or 6 years to be a lot harder than the PS5 version to find. Again, I could be wrong, but that's just my speculation. Of course, this is just all my opinion, guys. Here we have another one, and that is Crypt of the NecroDancer. Again, this one can be attained without too much difficulty today, but I do think this will be quite collectible in the future. It does come with a soundtrack as well. It's quite a nice release, and I have heard good things about this game. I ended up getting it on sale at JB Hi-Fi for $15. However, I have not seen a copy in the wild since that sale. I do take that with a grain of salt. It is a little bit more expensive online. And it's got a really nice art style, this one, and it includes all the DLC on disc. With all those things combined, I think this will be quite a collectible title down the line. That is Crypt of the NecroDancer. Got another NIS America game, surprise, surprise. And this one is Demon Gaze 2. One that I spent quite a while trying to find. It's also received a Vita release, which is even harder to find. but I actually found this in the wild at my local EB. I was quite surprised to see it. Rarely even shows up on eBay. It was about $30, I believe. Even under $40, this one's definitely one to be picking up, guys. And that is Demon Gaze 2. Like I've said previously, JRPGs, horror games, doesn't really matter what it is. If it's not a mass-produced game, it's going to end up pretty collectible in the future. With the PS1, the PS2, the Super Nintendo, the NES, the GameCube, there's so many systems that have backed this up, and I completely agree that the PS4 will be one of the systems that people go, that's a great system for JRPGs. I could make a video on 100, 200 JRPGs already, guys, and they're still pumping them out. So if you see them for a good price, you know, you're pretty safe in knowing that you're going to be picking up a good game. There's only a few JRPG titles, Kingdom Hearts comes to mind, that don't hold their value, and they are mass produced. Ni no Kuni 2 and Ni no Kuni 1 are pretty cheap, these games, even though it's an amazing game. It just was mass produced, so with that in mind, it's probably not going to be that collectible down the line. The only game JRPG I would note that is mass produced these days that still is quite collectible is the Persona games. They've just got such a cult following that those games are always going to be pretty expensive. Now we've got another Harvest Moon game. I talked about the complete edition of this, but this is just the standard special edition. That's Harvest Moon Light of Hope special edition. All Harvest Moon games are quite collectible throughout N64, PS1, upwards to modern consoles. If you're a fan of like Stardew Valley, etc., you'll like these type of games. Right up my alley, and I certainly think this will be another quite collectible title down the line. And that is Harvest Moon Light of Hope, the special edition. Now here's a game that's becoming quite rare already, and that's throughout all regions, and that is Home Sweet Home. This was a GameStop exclusive in America, but it did receive a release throughout the world. It is a VR title, and I've heard it's quite a scary game. So that is Home Sweet Home. Going for around $80 already, guys. So if you see this one under 50, I'd definitely be picking it up. Like horror games, JRPGs, this is one in the genre that's quite collectible, and I think it's only going to become more rare, more collectible, and more expensive in the future. So definitely be trying to get this sooner rather than later, and that is Home Sweet Home. Here's one I picked up recently. It wasn't released in Australia, but it did receive a Europe release as well as America, and that is Iris Fall. It's a 2D side-scrolling puzzle game. It looks really cool. It's got like a really cool art style. I watched a bit of gameplay on it on YouTube, and it looked pretty cool. This is the type of game that I feel will become like a hidden gem type collectible thing. You might want to pick it up. It might become a $5 shovelware game down the line, but for me, being in Australia, it was quite hard to find. My friend Tristan got me a copy. So I feel like this might become one of those games that just becomes really hard to find, therefore becomes quite expensive in the future. So I'm trying to pick this one up if you see it under $20 sooner rather than later, guys, and that is Iris Fall. I do believe it had an American release of a different cover art. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Here we have another one that I'm really speculating on, but that is Kotodama, the 7 Mysteries of Fujisawa. This is a weird puzzle game with Japanese anime girls on it. However, these type of games do become quite collectible down the line and expensive. They have a very niche market, and that niche market is willing to pay for what they want. I would put this in the category of like Galgun or Senran Kaguen or something like that. Just being weird like that. I feel like that type of audience will jump on this, making this one quite collectible in the future. Yeah, so that is Kotodama, the 7 Mysteries of Fujisawa. I know I fucked that up, but I'm apologizing. Okay, you can get this one for around $20 on eBay, sealed, which is a pretty good price. I expect this to be a lot more expensive in the future, guys, so I'd be grabbing this one today while it's cheap. Now, here we have a Monster Hunter game. Monster Hunter got a mass release, but this Iceborne DLC, the Master Edition, I never see this in the wild. If I do, it's at EB Games for like $68 or something ridiculous. So if you see this Iceborne version in the wild, definitely be picking it up, guys. It's got all the DLC, which is why this version is going to be sought after, and it is all on disc too. Doesn't have a manual. So these disc-only DLC games are definitely going to be the ones to be grabbing in the future. If the servers go down, you're not going to be playing this, but like if something happens in the future and say the server goes down for an offline game and you can pick up the complete version with all the DLC, that's going to be the one you want to get. This is a really popular series. Monster Hunter fans have been around for a long time, but with the PS4 Monster Hunter World game, it got really popular. So I do think this will be one that you want to be holding on to. So that again is Monster Hunter Iceborne, the Master Edition. Here's one that I was going over my list, and I'm like, I didn't talk about this. It's one that I was looking for it for about 6 months. I found it 3 or 4 years ago. I've never actually seen it in the wild. It wasn't released in Australia, but it did receive a European release. And it's actually a really fun and popular game, especially on PC. There is a sequel. Of course, I'm talking about Mountain Blade Warband. There is Mountain Blade Warband 2 on PC. I'm not sure if it's on console, but this did receive a console release. It's an online game. You can play it offline, I believe, but it's better with friends. I had a bit of fun playing it. I've got some friends that are really into it. But I believe this will be quite collectible down the line. It's already creeping up to that $40, $50 mark. I only see it becoming more expensive. So if you see Mountain Blade Warband, guys, definitely be picking this one up. Now, here's one that I've recently, it was actually a tip from some of you guys. So if you suggested this one, shout out to you. You can get this for a really good price at the moment. Definitely be grabbing this, guys. There's so many reasons why. It's called the Truth Is Out There Mystery Adventure Pack. Now this includes 3 games. One game that we've already spoke about on this series, which is Parkview Drive. It includes another horror title called Joe's Diner, as well as The Nightfall. Now, The Nightfall is becoming one of the most expensive horror games on the PS4 already. I haven't been able to find a copy, but I will get it eventually and talk about it in one of these episodes. Joe's Diner is another one that deserves to be on this series. But with all that in mind, I expect this pack to become even more expensive than The Nightfall in the future. People will go, why am I going to fork out for The Nightfall when I can get this pack? Eventually this pack will increase in price and overtake it. At least that's how I see things going. Who knows, this pack might have been mass produced and there's 100,000 copies sitting in a warehouse. You don't know. But right now you can get this under $25 sealed. I'd definitely be grabbing it for that price. It's a triple pack. It includes 3 games that are really expensive right now. At least 1 or 2 of them are. Yeah, so that is the Truth Is Out There Mystery Adventure Pack. This is one that if you're watching my video and you're going to take one thing out of this video, it's grab this one today, guys. This is the one you want to be getting sooner rather than later, and that's the Truth Is Out There Mystery Adventure Pack. I can't stress that enough. Watch this video in 5 years. If I'm wrong, I'll eat my words. But yeah, you can get this under $30 right now. So anyway, moving on, guys. I'm gonna fuck up the pronunciation. I apologize already. We have Utawarerumono. We've got the Mask of Deception and the Mask of Truth. I'm not going to say that title again. Let's talk about these games. I believe they're JRPGs. They might be visual novels, but they are released by Atlas. I'm a big fan of the publisher Atlas. They make amazing games. That one doesn't, but this one comes with an art book. It's quite heavy. There are actually 4 of these games, guys. The third one got an Australian release I'm trying to find, and there was a recent release that just came out. All of those 4 deserve to be in this series. If you see any of these games, even under $50, I'd definitely be picking them up. I've only ever seen them once in the wild. That was together. They were traded in by the same person, so I was lucky enough to get someone who owned both copies. Obviously, they were a pretty big fan. So this is a series that I would be jumping on sooner rather than later, like all games in this episode. I'll say it one more time. Utawarerumono, Mask of Deception and Mask of Truth. Moving on. Here is a North American release only, and that is Wild Guns Reloaded. Now this was a Super Nintendo game, I believe, but they reported it to PS4. So if you played this one back in the day, you know what it's like. It's sort of like a rail shooter. It's done by Natsumu, which if you're a collector, think of Africa on the PS3. This one's been quite hard to find for 4 or 5 years already. It's only becoming more expensive. If you can get this under 50 euros, 50 American dollars, I'd definitely be jumping on it, guys. If you're an Aussie, you're going to be looking at that $70 to $80 mark. But I only see this one becoming more expensive and more collectible in the future. And that is Wild Guns Reloaded. Awesome spine, by the way. Here we have WonderBoy, the Dragon's Trap. Now this is a game that was originally done by Limited Run Games, and then it got a release throughout the world on the PS4 and the Switch, which is great. But you don't have to pay limited run prices, however it is still quite expensive. This was the Mega Drive game that was reported, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, I do believe this is on the Mega Drive though. Obviously I started gaming on PS1 era, so I'm a little bit hazy on systems that are earlier than say 1995 or even earlier than 2000. But I definitely can assure you guys that this is one that if you see it for under $40, it's definitely a great buy. WonderBoy, the Dragon's Trap, I rarely ever see it in the wild. You don't need the limited run version, you can get a retail version. Here we have the Wonderful 101 Remastered. I haven't played this, but I've heard great things about it. So yeah, take that with a grain of salt. But I picked this up on the back of a couple of friends only talking this game up. I've only seen it a few times in the wild, so I do believe it is going to be quite hard to find in the future. It's already going for that $30 to $40 mark online, so I don't think it will drop down any lower than that. Yeah, and that is the Wonderful 101. Again, take it with a grain of salt, but I do believe this one will be quite collectible in the future and quite hard to find. Here we have Yasui Ninja. This is a PAL exclusive, I believe. It wasn't released in Australia either. It is quite cheap these days though. It's got a really cool art style to it. I've checked out some gameplay online. It looked really cool. Think of like Afro Samurai. Yeah, I'd be picking this one up sooner rather than later, guys. You can still get it under that $20 mark. But I think this one will become more of a hidden gem and definitely become quite collectible in the future, and that is Yasui Ninja. So I've showed you guys a lot of games this episode. I've got one more. So it's just alphabetical, it's nothing too special. But this one is quite hard to find. I initially looked for this game because I'm a Sniper Elite fan and I wanted to play the spin-off title, which is Zombie Army. And what better to start with the trilogy, and that is the Zombie Army trilogy. I've actually picked up 2 copies of this. I sold the other one for like $45. It sold in a few days on eBay. I definitely think this is one to keep your eyes out for. There is another one that we'll talk about later on, but it isn't as hard to find as the trilogy. So if you see this one, guys, definitely be picking it up. Don't just go, it's another shooter. Sniper Elite games are very popular, and this spin-off title didn't seem to get as much recognition as the Sniper Elite game, so it sort of just snuck under the radar, but it is a really fun game. And that is the Zombie Army trilogy. Well, that concludes this episode, guys. I showed you guys another 20 PS4 games that I think may become rare or collectible in the future. This concludes episode... Oh my god. I just caught them. It's all good. Almost dropped 20 rare or collectible PS4 games. These are worth none now. This includes episode number 10. I've showed you guys almost 200 games, and there are so many more for the PS4. Almost seen 3,000 retail releases for the PS4, guys. So it's just insane. So I've showed you guys less than 10% of the library. We haven't done any limited releases, anything like that. I might do a separate video talking about some of the rarer limited run games, strictly limited games, etc. But like I said, this series is retail releases only. Although you guys like that, we're going to keep it that way. I need more suggestions, guys, so if you haven't seen any games that you think might be rare or collectible, definitely leave them in the comments. Obviously, Godzilla, there's a few that I haven't shown because I haven't tracked them down yet. You guys have mentioned these games many times, so feel free to read through the comments as well. Thanks to everyone who's subscribed recently and who's been around for a long time. This channel's just smashing it lately, so that's awesome. Mad love, guys. Don't forget to like the video, leave a comment, subscribe. I've been Figsy, you guys have been awesome. Happy hunting, and I'll see you guys next episode. Peace.